Hello, ladies and gentlemen. We are Adventuresome Reviews. Today, reviewing
a book by the name of Cloak of the Two Winds. Ooh, and whoosh, and whoosh, and much whooshing.
And much washing, because this is an ocean book written by Jack Massa.
And the synopsis is: pirates, sorcerers, and witches battle for an ancient magical treasure. The aforementioned Cloak of the Two Winds. Which, all things considered, actually really, I really like as a book title.
Yeah, Cloak is a strong word, very thematic and fantastical, because of heritage and all that nonsense, but Two Winds is unusual and magical in its own right, so it actually works quite well as a book title.
Yeah. Emelina, the witch, has fled the city of the tyrant Archmage of the East. She plans to return the fabled Cloak of the Two Winds to its rightful owners, but Emelina's ship is waylaid by barbarian pirates. Ooh. From the South Polar Sea. Lon, the Iruk skipper, has led his boat away from the hunt after dreaming of fabulous treasure. When his crew captures the witch's ship, they get more than they bargained for. After carrying off her possessions, they are robbed in turn. Worse, one of their crew is taken. Glissa, the woman Lon loves. I'm doing great, aren't I?
You're doing terribly. You're throwing like spice and electricity and weird pronunciations, and it's like, what are you cooking?
I'm having fun, which is all that matters.
Fun is not allowed here. We are serious people. We are revered academics.
You can be serious if you want to. I won't stop you.
I am revered galaxy-wide for my unmatched genius.
You're also wanted galaxy-wide for several crimes.
We
Let's not incorporate the larger galaxy. It probably won't go well for you.
Shush.
To rescue her, the pirates must join forces with Emelina on a perilous voyage from the seas they know. To Lon and his mates, nothing matters but saving Glissa. But Emelina knows there is much more at stake. In the wrong hands, the Cloak of the Two Winds can unravel the age-old magic that keeps their world safe.
Ooh, spooky. To start off, the thing I really enjoyed about this book was the world building. There were just several really cool concepts, from how the seas would freeze over and the ships would have to adapt, or had to be built to be able to adapt between sailing on soft water or on frozen ice. I just found that entire concept really cool, and the author does a good job of using it throughout the story.
All right, so the way the world works, right, is you have these two mystical winds that sweep across. I don't know if it's the entire globe or just portions, right? But you have the melt wind and the freeze wind, right? And the freeze wind sweeps across the ocean and freezes it solid, vast swaths of it, right? And then a couple days or months later comes the melt wind, right? And it melts the ice, right? And back into, water. And this is really cool because becomes a continuous theme throughout the book as for both benefit and obstacles that our heroes must overcome, right? But it's not necessarily. One of the things I liked about it is that it feels like a natural phenomenon per se, rather than just an out of the blue obstacle for the heroes to confront. It's something that affects the whole people of the world, and they reach locations in the book where they are dealing with a freeze wind that's on the fritz or what have you, right? And so this was happening before they got there, and it doesn't happen after they got there, but that's the point. It's a natural phenomenon of the world, and I like that.
Yeah, and there was other just cool ideas scattered, really unique ideas, like there's plants that are mildly sentient that they can use to summon winds to propel their ships forward. And plants do this by singing in it. They're almost companions on every boat. And it's just cool to experience the world.
because like the wind and because the sea spends half its time frozen, not necessarily solid but frozen, skates on ships and skates on on the bottom of feet become a prominent feature of the story. Like after Glissa gets captured, the Aruks, which is a name I quite like.
Yeah, that's the barbarians that Lone and his crew are, and there's other cool stuff involved in that.
They strap on their skates and they go skating after the ship in order to capture her, and they can only do this because a massive portion of the sea is frozen over, which is just like, that's skating over a frozen sea. That's a cool concept.
Yeah.
And you also have like a really nice sense of pressure for them to kind of run off because they're a day behind at this point due to certain reasons.
Yeah, and that was the other thing. Like, that's a nice segue into the fact that the book is fairly well paced, and the prose of it just flows nicely. It's not a book where the prose is like, oh my god, so gorgeous,
Beautiful and lyrical,
but it just flows nicely. It's effortless to read this book.
At the same time, though, the prose has a very distinctive style that I enjoyed because it's dissimilar from traditional books while not being detrimentally so. And it works really well for Emelina because Emelina, when she speaks, not gonna try describing it, but she speaks in a very different way, or in a subtly different way from the Aruks. And the Aruks would speak very naturally, whereas she does not. And it was once again enjoyable because the author's style of prose worked really well with Emelina's speech.
For one of the slight criticisms, and I don't actually have many criticisms for this book, is that the characters are a little bit, not necessarily bland, but a little bit bland. They have, and this is more prominent in the later books in the series, but the characters will have beginnings of a strong narrative. One of them dealing with trauma in a later book, and yet it is not properly fused into the narrative or the book itself. It is talked about and it is mentioned, and then the resolutions are often magic, fixed. And you don't really get in depth into the characters, the way they tick, their motivations, their conflicts, besides the surface level, we have to save our friend, or I love her, and it's particularly evident when a romance starts and the author starts to write a romance, and it's just, you don't spend a whole lot of time building the interactions between the characters to explore the birth and the progress of a romance until it reaches the point those two characters are going to hook up. One or two, they talk, smile, share one fact about each other through the course of a couple hundred pages, and they're a couple at the end of it.
Yeah, so it's like, the standout romance for book one is the romance between Glissa and Lon, right? And Lon starts out the book infatuated with Glissa, and Glissa only has 2 to 3 chapters in the book. Most of the rest of the book is Lon mooning over Glissa, and there's no.
Well, that's not that bad because their relationship was already settled.
Yeah, but still, it's once again building into the fact that we did not get to see it grow or take root or have any necessarily meaningful interactions between the two beyond one eventual meeting.
Yeah. One interaction or series of interaction that the author does handle well for Cloak of the Two Winds is between Emelina the Witch and their Rooks, because they have competing objectives, and this is well handled throughout the book, whereas their moments of conflict and then negotiation, and they're at odds and end as they debate of how to progress with either separately or together or through each other to reach their separate objectives, and it's well handled and well paced throughout the book.
It's actually probably, at least to my mind, the best part of the book that was the part of the book that was handled the best. Because when the Aruks the Aruks obviously stole from Amelina. So when they eventually kind of joined forces, she's like, all right, I need y'all to swear a oath of not necessarily undying fealty, but undying fealty because I don't trust you as much as I can show you. Y'all are murdering, thieving pirates. And they're like, we ain't swearing no loyalty to no witch. That's just like a bad idea. It's like, okay, I get both sides of this argument here, right? And particularly because the Aruks are our POV characters, right? And it's just, and so you have this really nice, slow, gradual, forming of bonds and trust, and it's like where they actually become allies at the end, and they actually trust one another to do important jobs, right, and to have each other's backs.
Yeah.
And this was not an easy struggle. You have like
because they start out in conflict and they have conflicting goals.
And you have members of the Uruk who, even as the others start warming to Amelina, you have these other members who are like, I still don't trust her. I do not understand what's going on. I do not like this. And they are a prominent voice in the book. And it's like, it's a constant reminder. This is dangerous water they're treading.
And again, it's just well-paced. And the book in general is well-paced. Action scenes, interactions, magic scenes. It's just, it has a
hiccups
nice
that are not just sudden ambuscades of enemy armies or anything. It's like at one point they're running out of food, and the Aruks need to give up like a secret island in order to proceed. Otherwise, everyone starves.
Yeah. So I really enjoyed the book when I read it.
I also really enjoyed the book.
The book 2 and 3 in the series are good as well. They don't have as many strong points, and some of the more character issues are a little bit more prominent, but they're still worth reading. I enjoyed them as well.
Something we have not touched on yet is the relatively it's a beautiful soft magic system here, and it's a mix of prayer, faith, and good well-wishing
benign intentions.
Not necessarily that, but if you think something will happen, it's more likely to happen, right? And it's optimism, right? All wrapped up into this potentially very powerful, deep, soft magic system.
Yeah.
It's very original.
And there's lots of different, magic is used in a lot of different ways throughout.
Right, and a lot of times it's not just, massive fireball, it's the world twisting itself in just a sort of way to see them excavated from a bit of difficulties. So it's not hard magic or loud magic. Sometimes it's just the world bending itself to suit the needs, and it's a wonderful just anything can sort of happen magic system
without it feeling extremely powerful per se.
But at the same time, it's not super powerful, though it can be incredibly powerful.
What I meant by say is that you're not having a character that's going to lift and throw mountains or set entire cities alight. It is but at the same time, Amelina does not feel like a weak enchanter. She just does, and through her, the magic system does not feel as if it could reach deific proportions.
That being said, it's not a weak magic system, and at the same time, but it's actually
a really well-balanced magic system.
It's an actively difficult magic system beyond just the typical wizardry of writing runes on the walls and the perfect way, otherwise everything goes kaboom. No. Amelina has to spend weeks or days meditating on the results she wants to even get a sliver of a chance at having some of the greater effects take place. And but other times you have this archmage, right? And this tyrant evil archmage, right? She looks across the entire world into Amelina's dreams, and it's a moment of active threat, right? And during this time, she puts a charm on on Amlina that Amlina is well aware of, but she cannot break, right? And so and this is from, across the world, right? There's entire seas between the two, and it's just, the magic system is another one of my great favorites of this book.
Yeah. I probably would have given this book 4.5 stars.
4.5 stars.
That's all for us. Unless he has some other shenanigans.
Oh, I have loads. I want to spoil this book relentlessly and without redemption, but I think that might be a terrible idea.
A terrible idea.
Yes.
In that case, au revoir. Goodbye. We will never see you again because we will soon die terrible deaths.
Wait, we're gonna die?
Yes, and now that I've said it, it has to be true.
Well, this is unfortunate.
You have it in your contract.
Oh, it's in my contract now.
Yes.
Well, we all know those are stone type thingies.
I made this one in stone.
That just seems like way too much effort.
You're worth it.
Fairly well, our future friends.
Goodbye.